Welcome back. You're watching Perspective. In this segment, we'll discuss the business news. To tell us more on business news, I have with me the editor of Economic India, Manohar Manoj. Thanks very much, Mr. Manoj, for joining us in this program. An important news today, Kelkar report has said that fiscal deficit can be at 5.2% of GDP only if subsidies are cut. Is the government in a position to cut subsidies completely?
See, Natasha, unfortunately, government is not working on that front. Dr. Vijay Kelkar committee, ex-chairman, Finance Commission and ex-finance secretary, has recommended very good measures for the betterment of economy. And fiscal deficit is in an alarming position, and that is why we have a high rate of inflation, and we have some kind of depression on various front of economy. And actually, till 2009 Lok Sabha election, our fiscal management was in a very good position. But when government took 3 decisions, the waiving of farmers' loan, implementation of 6th pay commission, and Manrega kind of a scheme, that is not asset-oriented scheme, that is wage-oriented scheme. It have a very high inflationary pressure over the economy, and immediately the 4.5% fiscal deficit of GDP rose to 6.5% of the GDP. Now, Dr. Vijay Kelkar committee has been given responsibility to just study about the fiscal scenario. He has gone his major recommendation for the all kind of subsidy cut, though he has recommended to continue kerosene subsidy for 1 or 2 years more. But on one side, Vijay Kelkar committee is recommending for all kind of subsidy cut that constitute 2.8% of the
one
total
debate
GDP.
around subsidies is also that if it is really reaching the people or not, and there was one issue of introducing cash transfer. Do you think this is a much viable option than having plain subsidies?
Actually, people don't know the subsidies doesn't come from any other source or any special source. It also come from out of the tax which is imposed over the public, and it constitutes 2.8% of the total GDP. If subsidy is not being utilized in a proper manner, it's not utilized in a productive manner, it doesn't have any benefit. You can raise the purchasing power of the public through various ways, through hiking subsidy, through hiking wages and salary, through hiking the welfare pensions, through hiking a scholarship, etc., etc., by spreading infrastructure development plan in rural areas.
Right. So you're saying invest more in social sector schemes
and infrastructure.
And infrastructure rather than actually going for subsidies, because you're not even sure.
Yeah. There are 3 subsidies. The major subsidy on food, fuel, and fertilizer. And these all, if you deeply study all these subsidies, what you will find, these are not being utilized in a proper manner. If you rationalize the whole tax structure imposed over the fuels, even all 4 fuel, diesel, kerosene, petrol and LPG, there is no need of subsidy. You can provide at reasonable rates all these fuels to the people. And immediately government has withdrawn LPG subsidy. That is also not good. It can be managed in phased manner.
Right.
But so far, Vijay Kelkar committee report, on the one side he is recommending for cutting subsidy, and on the other side he is also recommending to lowering down the rates of tax imposed over excise, in terms of services, in terms of excise. So if it is being lowered down, it will definitely benefit the common people.
Right.
And
so
on
at a
the
time
other
when the government is looking for measures to consolidate or on fiscal consolidation, it is important for the government to actually not, if not cut subsidies, to check how these subsidies are being implemented, and also in future, how much money will be needed in getting in the implementation.
But unfortunately, this government is doing dual role. On the one side, it is cutting subsidy on LPG, kind of very essential commodity, and on the other side it is proposing Food Security Act that will be costing around 1 lakh crore, and it is just being brought just for the sake of the next Lok Sabha election.
Okay.
And government thinks it is a very good measure to grab votes,
right,
in a mass number.
Especially when they have seen that how their National Rural Employment Guarantee Act did remarkably well, and in fact helped them to gain a huge majority in the last election.
Right.
Also, if right to food is implemented, how this will help, because right to education has also become a reality, but funds remain a big challenge. But as you rightly said, that the government must also invest in infrastructure sector and should check how this money is being used. Now the UPA is looking for, we've seen in the last few weeks, the government has introduced several reforms, especially FDI in multi-brand retail, also introducing FDI in aviation. Now the focus is on the infrastructure sector and also on the insurance sector. They have said that a fresh infrastructure fund will be created, an investment board to speed up projects, and also an amended bill to raise FDI and insurance to 49%. How important these measures?
Because since 1991 we have adopted new economic policy which have been based on pillar like privatization, globalization, marketization, etc., etc. So in order to that we have a series of reform, and FDI also one of the important part of that reform. And if since last 2 or 3 years FDI process were very slow, and now this government has just shown its willpower to invite FDI more and more in the different sectors of economy. So in order to that, it could not be termed as a very harsh measure so far FDI and multi-brand retail is concerned, because it is not superimposed over the states. It is just on the will of states. If they want to invite it, they will go for it. Otherwise, they won't go for it. So it is not a very debatable topic, what I understand. But so far, the other decisions are concerned. Since Food Security Act, just I mentioned earlier, it will cost 1 lakh crore, and we already have food subsidy that is around 60,000 crore. It will not misutilize the public money. It also create a den of corruption, a new den of corruption. So always food sector should be given to the market forces, and consumption should be kept on the choice of the consumers. But even you talk about the rural people, they should be given more and more money in terms of their wages, salary, pension, scholarship, and old age pension, all rural development program in terms of infrastructure, but they should not be given very cheaper food price, because it will hamper the basic agriculture system.
Okay, so you're saying that instead of giving subsidies, focus more on sectors which can enhance their potential, and through these means they can actually make more money. And
even I am favoring you don't provide any input to the farmers on subsidized rate, just make their agriculture, all agriculture products on cost plus basis. If they get a better remunerative prices of all their commodity, they don't need any subsidized input which is full of corruption.
Okay, so several important reform measures have been suggested by the government, but we have to see how these reforms will do in the coming days. But if you talk about FDI in multi-brand retail, it has created a lot of debate, especially after Trinamool Congress moved out of UPA, and also now today Mamata Banerjee is holding a protest against FDI in multi-brand retail and the proposed measure taken by the government. On the other side, Bharti Enterprises is eyeing for a 50-50 joint venture with Walmart. How are you seeing this news?
They have got the opportunity. Bharti Airtel is a big domestic company of India. It is the largest telecom company, and since government has approved multi-retail brand FDI, so they have just got the opportunity, and they have get together with Walmart. And I think it will have a very good impact over Indian economy, because they will have a multi-chain. They have presence all over India. If they collide with Walmart kind of company, I think it will take a major development in multi-retail brand sector.
And especially when Deputy Chairman Planning Commission Montek Singh Ahluwalia has said time and again this will not have any negative impact on Kirana stores, because there's a lot of opposition also against this introduction of FDI and multi-brand retail. Though it is being said that food will be processed properly, there will be less wastage, and farmers will get good prices for their products, employment will go up. So it is being welcomed by many people, but also the government has told the states that they are free to implement or not to implement FDI and multi-brand retail. But IOC, Indian Oil Corporation, is all set to increase its refinery capacity. An important news here?
Yeah, that's important news, because we are full sufficient in refining. We are not sufficient in crude oil sector, but India has got its sufficiency in refining capacity, and Indian Oil is the largest oil marketing company of India, and we have around 22 refinery, and 50% of the total refinery belongs to Indian Oil. Though it has no largest refinery like Jamnagar refinery belong to Reliance private company, But Indian Oil, I have just also read that it is raising its refining capacity.
Okay, so it is
that
an-
it will have a full self-sufficiency. It also involves
Okay.
cost of the oil.
Okay, so a step to make itself self-sufficient, it also will increase its refining capacity. Completely out of time, Mr. Manoj. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
in
My
this
pleasure.
program. And it's now time for us to go into straight break, and next when we come back, we'll discuss the sports news. Stay tuned.